There we go. So yes, so as I was saying before, I was interrupted myself. Please send me your works in process. It's lovely to see what you're up to and what you're doing, and if any of my work has made any difference to how you do your felting. There we go. Well, we're getting there slowly. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit at the bottom of the nose so I can start to see where I'm maybe going wrong a bit. I think I've gone up a bit too high on everything, so I might well have to redo some of it. I'm just going to poke a bit of dark wool in there. That's better. There we go. That's it. So I'm going to use the same grey because, again, I can go over it darker or lighter. And I like this grey. It's a nice grey. I'm just taking, there's two little bubbles in it. Just taking the bubbles out. So I've laid quite a thick piece on because sometimes it's just as easy to do that. And I'm just going around. There we go. Just filling in that nose space. This is what you call the ugly stage, when it doesn't really make much sense. And it really looks, when you look at it, you think, what am I doing? It looks awful. I don't like it. We've all been there. We've all looked at it and gone, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I've done. It looks nothing like a nose. It just looks like a load of different shapes and horrible colours, and it's... But every piece of work has an ugly stage. Every piece of work has an ugly stage. The trick is to teach yourself to see past the ugly stage and to see how beautiful it can become. So I'm just pulling these threads out a little. I could use a reverse needle, but that would mean I'd have to find it. And I'm a bit lazy today, so I just give it a flick. There we go. Okay, so now that looks really, really ugly and very, very, very out of shape. So this bit here is actually very flat. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the core wool that I used. And I'm just going to do just a little bit across the bottom here, just to reshape this nose a bit as it is in a flat line. There we go. Just a bit more, just change needles. Now, quite often, if you're struggling with the shape of something, a good trick is to turn your work upside down and your reference upside down. And instead of seeing a picture, in this instance of the badger, you're just going to see lots of different shapes. And sometimes seeing lots of different shapes rather than your badger will help you see where the shapes aren't quite right and you need to add a little bit or take a little bit or change it a little bit. Okay. Now I do now have too much here, but that's not an issue because all I will do is take a little bit of the black up I have a better shape of my nose now. And it is at a slight angle. I have to do this line at a slight angle because if you look, he's slightly tilted head. So I didn't want to go straight across the bottom. I needed to make it just a fraction off. There we go. Okay, right. So having changed the angle, I'm going to go in with the black. And I'm going to define that bottom piece of that nostril. So I'm going to continue that nice straight line that I've just created. I didn't quite have before. And it's quite a thick piece of... Now the nose is all the same colour, but where this is hitting the light, this is in the shade, and this is the shadiest part. So as the shadiest part, it's going to be the darkest. This is where your light values come in, and this is what makes a flat image look a 3D image, by creating your light and your shadows. I don't want to go up too high with that. I think that's high enough. I'm just going to push these fibres out the way. This is where you get contaminated fibres, as I call them, where you have a little bit of one creeping onto the other. So, okay. Now it goes up in a little bit of a crest here, which is going to help. Oh, someone's messaging me. Which is going to help me create the shape again of this nose. So I'm just taking these black fibres up, cresting them a little bit, and then I'm going to bring them up the side here and right up to that lovely white line that we've created with the embroidery thread. Just catch those fibres there. There we go. Oh, message again. There we go. Now can you see? It's starting to take a shape. But again, I'm a little bit low here and a little bit too high up there, I can see. So I'm just going to... I'm still using the thick one. I'm just flicking this blue back out a bit. And as I'm doing that, I'm pushing it down at the same time. And I'm just lowering this nostril because I think I had it far too high, which meant I had too much nose here and not enough up there. So I'm just... And I can just add more blue, you know, but again, I'm going to do the same on this side. Just going to flick it out a little bit. Sometimes it's difficult to do it with the blades because the needles, as they break, so just use the edge of the scissors. And then I shall pull that down. There we go. And it's not very neat, but I can neaten that up. That's not a big deal. That can be neatened. Okay. Right. Now we're still not quite flat enough on the top. Here we need some definition. It's blending from one to the next. Right, so in order to create that look, I think I'm going to use another piece of embroidery thread, but this time I'm going to go for a nice rich brown, which is almost the same colour as the mud, but a bit more oomphy, if that's a word. Again, so I've separated my strand, and I'm going to go from down where I put that dark grey. I'm just going to anchor it. That's it. And I might have to do 2 or 3 lines of this. I don't want to go in with the whole strand, because then if it starts separating, it's going to look a bit strange. So it's easier to just put one strand over the next to avoid, and also to help it stay in place. So there we go. I'm going to go down the side of that white. Oh, my tablet's just turned itself off. There we go. Oh. Bear with me a moment. Every time it turns itself off, it darkens again. So I have to bring the light quality back up. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to bring that down. I'm not going to go all the way down, just a tiny bit. Actually, rather than cutting that, I'm going to pull it back and go back on myself. And you see, it's me holding it. It's so difficult to... Normally I would hold it, but if I hold it, you can't see very well, so... There we go. That's a little bit better. And you just got to keep playing with it till you get it at the right. That's it. That's giving it just that little bit of oomph, as they say, va-va-voom. So I'm just going to do another bit across this top bit here where I did the first bit. So I'm just doubling up on this bit here, just to give it. And you might have to go over 3 or 4 times on whatever you're working on until you get that look that you're after. There we go. Okay, I'll just snip that excess bit off. There we go. That's better. Well, that's better. It's starting to look a little bit more like a nose. We're getting there slowly. Just going to poke some of these fibres in. I need a bit more definition on these lower part of the nostril here. And I'm going to go in with the pearl white to start off with and see if that's going to be enough to... So I'm just going to give it a little twist. So I'm creating a bit of a line. Let's see if I can hold that in place and you can still see what I'm doing. There we go. There we go, that's better. And it goes up to about there. It does come down more. But rather than put another line in, I'm just gonna... I don't want to go back on myself because I think that would be too in your face then. Just going to tuck these a few bits in like that. But it does curl round, so I didn't start it at the right place in the first place. It does curl round and go up. There we go. Just give it a bit more of a poke. nostril. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. But it doesn't go up very high. So I'm going to start here. And doing this little bit here has shown me that I've actually taken that bit of white here too low. So I need to move that. That should be much higher up. So I'm just going to flick it back out a little bit. I'm just taking it back off again, as I can put it back on anywhere. Okay, I'm just going to go back on myself on this one a bit because I poked it in quite deep, so it sort of disappeared a bit. Okay, there we go. Just snip the end off. Don't forget to put it back in your pot. Waste not, want not. There we go. So now I have also noticed, which I not so much didn't see the first time. You don't always see everything first time round. You'll do something and you go, oh, that doesn't look right. And then you'll look back and go, well, I didn't bring this bit of black here. Now has to come up this part of the nostril. And I didn't see it the first time. So I'm just bringing that up a little bit more. There we go. And of course, because I moved this, I now have to fill that in with a bit more black, which will bring both the nostrils down and make the nose a little bit more even, and more half and half. So half for the top and half for the bottom, rather than 3/4, which I had before. So I've gone a bit high with that black. Just pull that back out again. There we go. That's better. I will be going in with some black embroidery thread in a minute, just to really low light those areas, just to give that extra depth. Or maybe just the black, who knows, we'll see. I might try just the black first. So this is the grey black that we've got here. Okay, and we've got grey black down here. I'm just going to add a little bit to this bit, which I'm going to use a slightly fraction lighter, and it is only a fraction lighter. I'm just going to come down here on the edge of this nostril down to the black, because I want it to be just a fraction lighter, but literally just a hint. There we go. I'll take it back up. That can join that up there. Get these little stray fibres in. And as you can see, I'm normally only working with 3 or 4 hairs at a time. Let's poke these in for a minute. Okay. Right, so having moved all of that, this bit of blue and black is now standing out quite a lot. So I might have to take another couple of black fibres over the top of that. We'll see. See how we get on. And we lost the scar, but not a problem. I'm going to put that back in. again with my dark grey, just giving it a bit of a twist. And I'm just going to put this scar back where it belongs. It doesn't go right up to the top. There we go. Just going to give it a... It's only a subtle scar, so we're going to put that bit of white back in. But I'm going to put it in at slightly a different angle as well, I think, because I don't think I got that quite right either. I'm just using a little bit more on this outside piece. It's very difficult to do this when you can't use your other hand. There we go. So it is there. And just going to get another piece. Just to put a tiny little bit here. So I'm still using my thick needle, so I'll go back to my fine one to make life easier. There we go. I'll just take the excess of that off. Now, just reshaping this a little bit. And where I've got the black up here, I also have the white continues down just a very tiny bit, but I just want to put a little bit more black in that. Looks like I have a hole, so to speak. So I'm just going in with the black. Take it right up to that white. That's better. There we go. Just gonna lift them and snip them off. And then while I've got the black wool in my hand, that little bit I've snipped off, I'm just going to tidy that up. That's better. Right above that nostril there, I'm going to add some deep black. And that's the inside of his nostril. There we go. I'm going to take it back on itself, and I'm just going to lift it just a little bit up here. There we go. And just around. I need a little bit more. So this black goes all the way round this ice white that we have there. Just frames it, which then makes this lighter grey stand out more. So it gives you that shade better. I'm just going to go back over myself. There we go. Okay, so pull my stray fibres off of that piece of the nose. There we go. Contamination. Okay. All right. And now I'm just going to put literally a thread, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, over this blue again, because it's still a little bit too in your face. So I'm just putting, I think I've got about 3 hairs here that I'm working with. There we go. That's better. Let's just toned it down again a little bit. Okay. So we're starting to look a little bit like a nose. We still have quite a bit. Now, because I've lowered that part of the nose, just tuck these in, I've then got to bring this light down again. It's now too high. So there we go. Back to my beige lightness again. And I'm just going to drop this down. It should be in line with these bits here. There we go. And I'm just going to take it just fractionally into the nostril. Not too far. It's a little bit heavy at the moment, so I'm just going to take some of that off. Rather than keep poking at it and making it too heavy and too light, if I just snip off the excess and then give it a little brush. There we go. Then it doesn't become too much of a solid colour and you can still see the other colours coming through. So I need to just grab those. There we go. Need to go back in with the black on the other side. So just twisted it again. And I'm just going to do a bit here. I'm going to go back on myself. Let's pull this thread from the other side. Can you still see? Yes, you can still see. There we go. Bring that quite high up on this nostril. Looking at it, I don't think we've taken it high enough on the other one, so we'll have to go back and alter that slightly. There we go, that's better. And again, this goes round the light source, so there we go. Pull those threads round. Sorry, I keep putting my hand in the way. It's not intentional. It's just quite difficult sometimes to hold the thread and push it through because you end up doing that. I've now got a thread that's gone over and dug in, so I'm just give it a little snip. There we go. And I'm going to take this quite high up back of the nostril up to this bit here, which I just want a little bit darker. There we go. That's it. Lovely. Okay, now he's a little bit wonky. Give it a blow. That right hand side nostril isn't gone up high enough. So I'm just taking another bit of black. And I'm just going to bring that up. There we go. It is all trial and error, and it's about continuously looking at your reference photo so you can see where it doesn't quite look quite right and where you need to add a bit or take a bit or change the colour. Now at the beginning we had quite a bit of purple on that nose, and we've lost the purple now. So I'm going to come back in with a few stray hairs of purple, and I'm going to just lay them down. I want them to be more, maybe the white's moved again. I want them to be more in this area, as this is going to give you more definition and depth to the nose. We don't want it too purple. We do not want it to suddenly look silly. There we go. That's enough. Snip that excess off. There we go. Excuse me while I have a mouthful of drink. It's thirsty work, all this talking. So, right, let's have a look. And then, as I'm looking at it, it doesn't quite look right. But I can't quite see what isn't quite right. So, there's lots of different ways you can tackle this. You can take a photograph and then create a collage between the photograph you've taken and your reference photo. So you can compare the two and see where you've actually gone wrong. Or you can sit and stare at it. I'm just pulling this bit out. I'm not happy with it. And keep looking at it until you work out what it is. Some people use a mirror. I think that's a bit too confusing and would totally scramble my brain using a mirror. And some people come back to it another time and leave it, go back to it the next day. And with fresh eyes, you always see things in a different light. What I have noticed is my white that I've put in as these accents. I swear they've grown legs and walked into the wrong place, but they haven't. I put them in the wrong place. So I'm moving it back over again. There we go. Moving that back over. And I've just pulled the other one out. I'm just going to poke this one next to the scar, which is where it's supposed to be. Sorry about my finger, but I'm struggling. There we go. Sometimes it's a bit of a pain just to get that first bit in. Especially when your eyes start getting tired, you start not seeing straight. Oh, let me hold that bit. It's better. There we go. Just snip that bit off. And of course the other way is, at the moment, because I'm videoing this, I can look at it through your eyes, so to speak, and see where. I'm just going to move it a fraction because I've got little icons on the bit that I want to look at. Yeah, I can see now where I need to just change it up just a little bit to give it more depth. Obviously, I'm looking at it through an angle through the camera, because I can't put the camera square, otherwise I wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing myself. And then that would be annoying. So I am looking at it at a bit of an angle, but it does show me that I need to add more on this side and bring it in just a little bit more. And this is the black that I'm going in with. There we go. That's better. That's better. There we go. That's it. Just wasn't quite even. It just wasn't quite right. I've probably taken a bit too much there. So I'm just going to snip that bit off. There we go. Okay, well, I think I'm almost there. I'm going to add a bit of this dark blue that I have, or no, darker blue, just where that scar and that light is at the top, because I've lost that blue colour that came. I've still got that one there, but I needed a little bit more bluish tinge here. That's it. And I'm just going to drop it at an angle, which you might not be able to see because of the stray fibres, but hopefully now when I snip it, give it a little bit of a blow, lift up the fibres. Just taking it round the corner and down a bit. Can you see? I just pulled that down. Oh, move me white. See, that's the problem with this embroidery thread, is it does have a tendency, if you poke at it too much, to move. But I also think that's quite dark again. Oh, so this is where you just keep going backwards and forwards with different wools until you get it just right. This is the ice white. Again, I'm just putting a little bit more back over the top because I just think it needs just a little bit more. I'm going to take it slightly round this way a bit as well, just to try and give that a little bit more definition. Okay. Alright, I'm just going to snip that off. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for today. I'm going to have a look at it later or tomorrow and see if I need to make any adjustments. I think I do. I think it's a little bit too straight. I think I'm going to have to bring these in a bit to alter this angle here and bring it down. I need to just take that corner off, if you can see. And again, I think I might need to just add a fraction onto this corner to change the whole dimension. I think this bit's correct. It just needs it's a bit too straight here. So, but as I said, I'm going to leave it for today because my eyes are getting tired, and I'm going to start with the sore throat in a minute because I won't be able to talk. And I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you found it useful. Let me know if there's anything that you really, really, really would like to see, and I will do my best to do that. Okay, in the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.